Welcome to book review. Who knew? Thalia and I have been doing a book over the course of, has it been less than a year? About a year?
No, it's been less than a year.
Less
I think we
than a
started
year.
in October.
I think so too. Okay, so we started reading a book last October and we completed it, and we have just little by little through the course of the year, we've been reading it and taking notes. And this book, for me, has been very life-changing and transformative. I have talked about it in some other videos and things, but we really thought that we wanted to bring the summary of it in a little series of videos that potentially could help you to see things a little differently. But I highly recommend reading the book, which is the Power in Praise by Merlin Carothers. So as we talk this first video, we're going to just talk about what praise is. But from there on, we're going to give a little bit more. So watch for the other series of videos. So Thalia, any impact in general before we get into the meat of what the book was about that, you know, kind of, I told her this is non-scripted, so she's allowed to say pass if she doesn't have an answer to a question, because I did not give her the questions ahead of time. But was there any kind of just general impact on you reading the book, do you think?
I feel like growing up, like at a Christian school, I was very involved in the church and everything like that. I feel like praise and worship was talked about a lot, but as I got older, I was like, wait, so what actually is praise or worship? Because like I can go to chapel and I can sing and I can I feel like I'm praising God then, but like how do I actually praise God in the day-to-day / how I don't think it's necessarily, as we'll kind of talk about, it's not about feeling, but you read in the Bible all these benefits of praise, and it's like, well, I feel like I'm trying to be grateful, but I'm still being like, oh, but I really don't want this. And they're all like joyful and this, and that. It's like, I want that. Like, how do I get that type of praise?
Yes.
So I feel like coming into this, I don't know, depending on whatever your background is, it completely, I don't know. I feel like it just opened a new way of thinking, or just a new door that I didn't even realize open to a whole entire mansion. Like,
yes.
like it was very insightful.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at it. It's opening a door to a mansion that you didn't even know was there. Mm-hmm. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis that talks about basically, why are you playing in the mud when you could be making sandcastles by the sea? And I feel like you can still live the same life doing what you've always done, playing in the mud, or you could be actually building sandcastles by the sea. And to me, that's what this book kind of opened my eyes to. Mm-hmm. And I think that hopefully as you listen, if you listen to this series of what we're going to talk about, it is something that could maybe be a way for you to consider this in a more impactful way for your life too. And really the title, I feel before I even read the book, Power in Praise is something that I feel like I've heard people say, and over the years it was like praise is powerful, whatever, and you read it a million times in the Bible. I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. I really didn't understand. And I think it's because we apply it only in situations that we think in our human mind it's applicable. Mm-hmm. You praise God for the things that you think are good, but we'll get into that more. So starting off, do you have a good definition for praise, what praise is? I have something here, but you can.
I know, I think we have something similar. from Romans 8:28, and this, I don't know what translation this one was, but because it was in the book, that this actual translation or writing or whatever, but we can't really be thankful unless we believe an omnipotent, loving Father is working for our good. Praising then involves both gratitude and joy that God is keeping his word to work good through everything if we love him. So I feel like, I don't know, identifying who God is and believing in his actual identity. And then with that, if we love him. I always find that kind of interesting. It's not if we have faith in him, if we believe in him, if we love him. And that kind of is love then is relational. That's not just have your nice little belief and hopefully something great will happen for you and that will be that.
Right.
That's a relational word. And so, I don't know. I feel like that...
Yeah, that is
a little
really
concise one,
yeah,
but
that's a perfect way to start it off. And I think some of the things that I kind of jotted down are coming from the book, but to praise God is to express our acceptance of something that God is permitting to happen. So that is a huge thing where there's a divide in the road sometimes, because do we believe that God really is sovereign, that he really is in control? If we do, then we know that the things that come into our life, good or bad, are being allowed by a loving God. He is loving. We know he's loving because of sending Jesus, obviously. If he's going to make himself into flesh, pay the price for us to have salvation and everything else, we know he's loving. But can we actually accept the fact that he might be allowing this, whatever it is that's a challenge, into our life for a good purpose? And that is when praise, I think, gets challenged the most, because you're praising for something that you are accepting as part of God's plan because you love him, which is the verse that you were just referring to. God works all things, not just the good things, not just the bad, all things he works for good for those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. So our praise shows our acceptance of what is happening as part of God's plan to reveal his perfect love for us. And that means that I think most people know that challenges and difficulties are what build your muscle, your physical muscle, spiritual muscle, mental muscle. You don't build that quote unquote metaphorical muscle by everything just going easy all the time. But why is it though that when things come at us and challenge us, we want to get out of it as fast as we can, instead of recognizing maybe God is using this to build my muscle, metaphorically, whatever that might be. I was actually talking to her boyfriend yesterday about something that was going on with him, and he was like, I think God is trying to teach me something and strengthen me through this. And if you can look at situations like that, you can praise God before you see the outcome.
No, it's so true.
It's hard.
And I feel like it's even more hard because if we stand in our ways, God is going to keep on knocking at that door. He's going to keep on bringing it up. And I feel like I was kind of talking to you about this past week, but I teach dance to younger kids, and my Tap 1 kids, their arms always look a mess during recital. So I'm like, okay, every single week, we're going to do these arm circles where they have to hit their arms out and their arms are always burning and whatever. And some of the kids really, I get a lot of pushback from them. And when they give me pushback, I'm like, guess what? you get to do 16 extra with me after everybody gets to put their arms down, because you need to work on this, and this is something that's going to benefit you. And sure, some of them might be looking at me like, girl, you are literally breaking my arms off. Like, this is not comfortable. This is not, every single time I do this, it's just hard, so I keep on just giving up and this and that. But there's all these other kids too, though, who they know me. I'm not trying to just be the mean teacher doing, I'm not trying to torture them and anything like that. And when they keep on doing it, all of a sudden they're like, actually, this isn't that bad. Now I'm actually exercising that muscle or whatever. And so it's, I don't know, I feel like it's so easy for us to be like, okay, yeah, like your coach cares about you. So yes, okay, even if it's something that might seem like unfair, why do I get singled out and this and that? Well, you need extra work on your arms, so you're gonna get singled out. Like, I don't know, but God's the same way with us.
Yes.
But if we don't recognize that he's coming at us from that stance, you might keep on getting hit in a similar fashion, and then you have a choice either to praise or kind of turn to bitterness almost.
True. And that, I think, is one of those perspective shifts that can make all the difference, not only for your life, but just for each of those moments. Because I think we all know that life is going to keep coming at you. If you choose to feel victim, feel put upon, have your little pity party and stay there, your situation potentially could get worse. It's definitely not going to get better unless you're just hoping and waiting for some external thing to change. But if you flip it and actually have an attitude of praise, knowing that God is doing something powerful in your life, not only could your situation change just simply by your attitude, but I think that, the common manifestation and energy is something that is used a lot in the world right now, secular world. But the same idea really applies in God's economy, that positive energy that you're putting out, that positive attitude, that praise and that recognition actually does build positive energy, can change a situation. And I think it's a very powerful shift that happens within you, and it doesn't have to do with the external environment.
Yeah.
So, and I was going to attach on to the end of your little thing about your dance kids. Mm-hmm. So she is considered to be one of these teachers that has a good way of managing her classes. The kids don't walk all over her, but she's got structure. She knows how to help get them improved. But what happens when she shows up at the studio? They rush her, hugging her, loving her. She's going to be humble and not want to talk about that kind of thing. But isn't it interesting that the very person that has this way of building strength, challenging, making them better, even though it's difficult, she's not the one that just people walk all over her. She's also the one that is highly loved. And I do think that it's a great metaphor for how God is with us and we are with God. We love him. We know that he's doing good stuff for us. And so we can have that rush him, love him, hug him kind of an attitude.
No, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's good. Little example.
The other thing that I had kind of highlighted was that any form of sincere prayer opens the door for God's power to move in our lives. But the prayer of praise releases more of God's power than any other form of petition. And there's the verse from Psalm 22:3 that says, he dwells inhabits and resides in our praises. So if you think about how, that metaphorically, but really literally, he is living within your praise because that is actually a power source. And so when you choose out of, maybe it's a surrender. I've heard the difference between obedience and surrender has everything to do with your attitude. You can obey and have a really rotten attitude, or you can be obedient with a beautiful attitude, and that's surrender. And I think that when we go through a difficult thing, or there is a challenge, maybe something long term that has been going on a long time, and you pray about it and everything, and that's all good. God hears our prayers. But when you start praising Him, it releases a different level of our understanding of surrendering to God's plan and His will, knowing that He's working it for good.
My brain's like going so many different directions right now. It's like, I feel like, I don't know, like exactly like you're saying, because when I was kind of writing about it too, the surrender of your control and saying like, God, like I really actually, as somebody with anxiety, I think I know absolutely every outcome of every situation ever. And I'm like, I've thought of all of them. So I'm good and I'm not good. So I'm like, I feel like I'm constantly in this battle with God being like, oh, yep, and I'm remembering my place now, and I'm going to take that step down. And praising, I find it very interesting. When I was in biofeedback for kind of some of my anxiety and stuff like that, it was kind of actually unrelated to, because I was doing breathing exercises and stuff like that, but the doctor I was seeing, she was talking about how gratitude, which gratitude and praise hand in hand, when your heart is at optimal, it's beating at the optimal
like rhythm
or pace for your body to relax and for it to, I don't know, for the physiological effects almost to kick in. You would think that, thinking positive thoughts and being joyful and, that would bring the best kind of stabilizing rhythm for your heart. But in reality, it's gratitude. It's gratitude. So I feel like not only on the spiritual aspect of things, but on the literal physical aspect, God has wired us to use praise as a tool to help us get us through our lives.
Yeah.
And again, I'm talking about the physical, we're talking about the spiritual, I'm talking about the mental with anxiety and stuff like that, where having that surrender to God and being like, God, I'm going to actually praise you, and I'm not just going to be like, oh God, I'm so grateful for this thing, but in reality, I'm like, I really wish it wasn't happening. Actually being grateful for it and being like, God, let's see what you're going to do with this. I don't know what you're going to do, and there's a lot of times where I've been like, God, there is no good to this situation in my eyes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to believe that something else is happening, and God never leaves it as that awful situation. And again, the situation maybe might not change, but He's still working through it, and He will still bring that comfort to you.
Yes, and good comes out of it, even if the situation is difficult or, challenging. Yeah. But I think, isn't that kind of a miraculous thought that God designed even your heart to operate at the optimum when it's in this praise and gratitude type of situation? And so, that I think the difference between when you are truly praising God, recognizing that He can do anything, and there's a reason He allowed this in for something that we may not see now, maybe we'll never see it, who knows. But the surrender, you can physically feel that. I have felt that many times, especially since reading this book. I think for me, surrender has sometimes felt intangible. I didn't really, what does that actually look like? When you hear this, let go and let God.
Oh gosh.
What does that actually look like? How do I do that? What would it look like to somebody else or to me? How would it feel? And to me, that was such a trite saying that meant nothing really to me because I didn't really know what that meant. Interesting though, when I started to praise God and really think about, wow, God, I'm going to use my jaw just because most people know that I've had this jaw problem for a long time. Wow, God, you must really love me that you have allowed this to go on because there is some good that is coming out of it. I might not know what it is, I might not see it, I may not always feel it, but I know that you love me. And I know you wouldn't allow something just to harm me. You would only allow it for good. So, wow, like I'm going to praise you for this exact thing because you know what's going on with it. And if you want to heal it, if it's already healed, but I'm not going to feel the healing till heaven, whatever the case is, I can praise you. And what it interestingly does, not only mentally, it releases anxiety related to it. It releases the actual physical tension in my jaw. It will release that at times too, because sometimes psychologically you're just holding on out of the fear of what does this mean? What's it going to be like 10 years from now? Blah, blah, blah. Like you can always take things and spin them out of control. And instead, praise gives me an actual, tangible way of letting go and letting God. I'm praising you. I believe that you've got good plans for me. I believe that you're working through this, in this, whatever it is. And it gives me a tangible way to actually deal with the situation. So, I don't know. It's a very interesting thing to process through. I think you have to do it on your own. Hearing about it, it sparks some hope. But until you actually do it, you don't know what it feels like.
Yeah. I know. I feel like, well, before we started filming and stuff like that, we were kind of talking about kind of testimonies with it or whatever, and I was telling him like, I don't know, and then of course while we're filming, God's like, and I know those, so boom, right in your brain. But I feel like I didn't even really realize. I mean, I hadn't read the book yet. I mean, obviously, like I said, I grew up reading the Bible and everything like that, so I've heard be grateful for everything and, you know, all the different things or whatever. But I don't think I really realized I was doing this, but I feel like I was in such a low spot that like there was no other way for me to mentally keep going other than just to surrender to God and be like, you got the perfect plan. And I know that you're going to take all this for the best for me. And what I'm kind of referring with that is when I was in high school, I was in kind of two really abusive relationships. And for the things that happened, I very much felt like I was just ruined. Like that, I was mental, I'm done, like it just, this and that, whatever, I can't. And I was like, God, I know that you're using this for good, and I don't even know how abusive relationships can be used for good. Like I'm gone, I'm out of them, but like I don't this is such, it felt like I took on this burden from them, and now I'm stranded in the desert, and I have like a 300-pound brick, and I'm like, well, what, I don't even want this brick in the first place, and now I don't have anywhere to go. Like, what do I do? And so I was like, God, like, I know that you're using this for good. And specifically, it was a week from me getting out of the second really abusive relationship, and I went to go do deliverance with Papa Joe, which, did you find Papa Joe from the book?
Not
Not
from
this one. Another
book.
one.
Yeah.
Another book. But I'm like, wait.
Yes.
But I went to go do deliverance, and the whole entire thing with that is, where is Jesus in the situation? Where in, I really went in deep, and I kept on looking around, and where is Jesus in this situation? And ironically enough, that same exact day, I ended up meeting with my boyfriend, who I've been with for 4 years. And I'm like, there is no doubt in my mind that God set those relationships up, because I don't think I would have, I would not have been either ready for the relationship, or I would not have known how amazing of a person I had either.
Yeah.
And seeing the way that God's worked through him, and then him working through me, or me working through him, and all the different things, it's like, God, like, okay, I couldn't see where all this was leading to, but now it makes so much more sense. And I don't know, the situations that still happened in the past were still wrong, and I don't think in the perfect world, God would not want that to happen, but we're not in a perfect world.
Right.
We're on a world that there's sin, there's destruction, that is the case of things, but Satan's not in control of it all. God has ultimate control of our destinies and our, I don't know, destiny's a whatever word, but he has a plan for each one of us. And if we can surrender to that and find praise in that, it's like, I don't know, I think a lot of people have probably, maybe not, but you, like, where there's like a kid with a little teddy bear, he's like, but I don't want to give him up. And Jesus is standing right there, and there's like a huge like teddy bear behind him, and he's like, oh, but you got better things coming. It's like, yeah, the little kid's gonna want the huge stuffed animal that they can like climb on top of and whatever, but you don't even realize it.
Yes.
Until, unless you have that faith.
Yeah. And, you know, what she was referring to, too, I think is a very, and this is kind of a tag on to the story that she was just telling, but that the deliverance that she went to, Papa Joe takes you, as she said, kind of, he presents it as, you know, you get to choose what experience you want to kind of mentally go through. So there's nothing ever pushed on you or anything like that. It's more up to you if you're ready for it. But when he led her into kind of, and he's a very loving grandpa kind of a man, so I think he's easy to talk to. But having that concept that Jesus is there when you went through that, I think most people with really difficult things, the last thing they're thinking of is that Jesus was there with them.
Yeah.
But he was, obviously. But then you do have a choice. Do you allow those things that have hurt you to be bitterness roots in your life? Or do you choose to look at them, as Thalia did, as opportunities to see, wow, this is how I should be treated as a woman. This is what, you know, when she did finally meet her her boyfriend. And the fact that she was even willing to go on this group, it was kind of a group thing that they met up. She was not in a position where she would have been open to that. So I feel like God really kind of delivered her from those past experiences and then loaded her with benefits that same
Yes.
day. She was telling me before we started filming about a verse. I don't think you brought it in here with you. It's on your iPad.
I know. It's Psalm 68, one of the verses, but talking about how in the Passion Translation of it, in a little footnote for one of the parts when it was talking about, and well, because it was talking about God giving us salvation every day, and how also daily He takes our burdens, but it also can be translated to daily gives us benefits. So
yes, so it's the idea that He not only lifts the burden, but then He loads us up with all these benefits. And that, I think, it was a very tangible experience for you. Not only did you kind of get released from this past stuff that maybe was trying to create a lot of roots of resentment, bitterness,
yes.
all of the, toxic stuff that can happen, because I'm sure you have had things that have happened to you that are not your fault. You have been a victim of something. And it's very easy for people to say, well, just forgive and forget, and whatever. It's very hard to actually release that. And I think when you went through that process, you were able to release that. And then because of that, you were also able to be accepting of this invitation to go out with this group and then meet your boyfriend and everything. And so God does this miraculous work in us. And so much of it has to do with how He transforms our attitude and perspective. And we can partner with Him through that surrender by praise. So I think that's, probably a really good intro. Hopefully, this wasn't more than, what you can process, maybe just something to think about. We will be making more videos about how you can apply it to your life, maybe some of the challenges or things that maybe are obstructive in being able to do this. But we hope that this gives you a little something to think about. I love testimony because I think what it does is it plants seeds of hope that our own personal lives can be transformed. And I believe that Jesus wants you to be free of all the burdens that you carry, and He wants to load you with all of His benefits. So thanks so much for being with us today. I hope that you are living an on fire day. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.